This Kubota Tractor 200 betting picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and it's trucks. Super exciting. It's the Kubota Tractor 200. We're going truck racing on a Friday night, which is excellent, which is why we do this. But yeah, so much fun. We love the Truck Series, playoffs, Kansas. Can't think of a better way to get there.
Love it, Rod. Playoffs, Kansas, trucks, cutoff race for the Truck Series. They're going to be cutting it down to, what are we? We're cutting it down to 8 now. Yeah. Because we're going from, this will be their cut. So we're going from 10 to 8. So cutting 2. Again, they're all the series run a little differently in their playoffs. So how it goes, but yeah, Truck Series, Kansas, always a good time. Should be a good one. I'm pretty excited, Rod.
I am too. Even the odds tended to be okay this time around. I know there's a couple of guys that we're really heavy on, and obviously we've talked about it with the trucks and the Xfinity Series. Look, both of these series have tended to be a little bit more of the chalky lately, especially the Truck Series. And now that they're in the playoffs, I mean, it even gets worse when it gets to the chalk. But I still found some pretty favorable odds, and very happy with what we have up until this point in the season.
Yeah, I'm actually like, this might be one of the better truck weeks I think we found recently, Rod. In my opinion, like I did not struggle to fill out my Truck Series card this week. Couple of head-to-heads I really like, which I'm not a big head-to-head guy for the most part, but man, a couple that just really jumped off the page to me, and a lot of good value out there to be had, and then big on one guy in particular. So I think it's gonna be a good week for the Truck Series.
I agree. Walter checking in saying, "What's up, guys? Looking forward to Kansas and your truck picks." I'm looking forward to half of that. You figure out which half I'm talking about. Boji Joe wants to know, Rod, when Zillage gets top 5, how do I hedge my 35-1 on JJ?
Why do you need to hedge?
Yeah,
he's going to do it, right?
Yeah, look at, he's going to win this race, damn it. Jessica saying, "Hi, guys," and yes, trucks indeed. Boji Joe wants us to wake him up when we talk about Parker Kligerman.
Well,
on the Truck
not
Series?
in this race, so
you're going to be
unfortunately, sweet dreams, buddy.
We'll touch on this one later, Walter, about Cody's playoff brackets. Laura's checking in. All right, howdy, hi, Laura, love ya. So
did
we
have a playoff bracket somewhere? I don't know.
Not for the trucks. I don't think we had it. I think he's talking about the Cup Series.
Did we fill one out somewhere?
We talked about it. I don't know that we actually.
I know we filled one out manually. I threw it out after Joey Logano won the first week because it was screwed. But
right on your yes. All right. Yes, we'll definitely start talking about Kansas and trucks. But first, let me tell you about Doug Stanhope, Brendan Walsh, Sean Green. They all host the newest podcast on SGPN, Get to the Points, which is what you pretty much scream at us each and every week. Just get to the point, guys. But every Thursday before the game, like today, right? Doug, Brendan, and Sean give out their favorite plays and talk a ton of shit. Doug and Brandon are professional comedians. You may know them from the Joe Rogan podcast, the Howard Stern Show, and Comedy Central. You can subscribe to that podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast up to and including this one. I highly suggest it. These guys are funny folks, and they make your time listening worthwhile. All right, Cody, we are at.
I think I discovered what he's talking about. I think because in the playoffs grid challenge or whatever on NASCAR. Yeah, I don't think I got any right in the first round. So I think that's how you get 0 points, Walter.
Yeah, when you fail
I think that's what happened. I did not predict any of them correctly. So
oh my gosh,
shit happens.
Hey, listen, it's the playoffs.
How did I not? Oh, I had to have had Harrison Burton. I got to look more into that because I had to have had Harrison Burton going out. No way I had picked Harrison Burton to continue. So I don't know. I'll have to look back and see.
Indeed. All right, it is the Kubota Tractor 200, the Truck Series edition. We are set for 134 laps around this 1.50 mile paved Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, for 201 miles. I know it says 200, but we're throwing that extra bonus mile in there just to screw everything up and have some fun with it. But yeah, I mean, this is it. They were here in the spring with the Cup Series, so we have that to draw on, and then last year's race, I guess, but. Like we talked about in the Xfinity, Cody, you can't always draw on that because a lot of the same names are not a lot of the same names in these series. This is
yeah, I mean, if you look, driver's averages is a place that I like to go to a lot to look. And you have to go down to, it groups up kind of the last 3 years. So since 2021, the 8th driver on the list is the driver with the best average finish that's still racing this weekend, Rod. So things change just a little bit over time in the Truck Series from race to race and year to year a lot. I mean, obviously tons of turnover. In the springtime, you'll a lot of times get the Kyle Bushes, the John Nemecheks, whoever else coming down to run. Zane Smith was in this race in the spring, Ross Chastain. Of course, those guys not allowed to be here in the fall time. Now that we're in the playoffs, so definitely a different look than a lot of races here recently, for sure.
Indeed. But yet, doesn't kind of matter in this instance because we've seen these guys at the top run at the top, and the books know it too. They're definitely aware of who's the front runners in the Truck Series. But again, we've still managed to find some pretty good numbers on even these guys and ways to get in on them. So we're definitely going to be doing that. Cody, who's entered in this race anyways?
Yeah, 34 entries, so all the trucks will make it. Brendan Queen making a return to the Truck Series. He's going to be driving the number 1 for Tricon once again. Marco Andretti back in the 04. Connor Mosack in the number 7. Jennifer Jo Cobb will make the race. Her home track there. She's from the Kansas City area back in the 10 truck. Don't bet on her. She'll be slow, but always good to see her. I've been watching her race at Kansas since it opened in 2001, Rod. She's been around there a long time. Always been a fan favorite there. So always good to see her back, even if she's just hanging out in the back. But, it's what it is. Some guy named Malcolm in the middle, Frankie Muniz. He's going to be in this truck race, Rod, in the number 22 truck for Rayum Brothers. There's been a change in the 25 truck. Ty Dillon was driving that truck. If you remember, they did this last year. It was Matt DiBenedetto, and then he was replaced for the end of the season. They're doing the same thing here. This one's different. So Ty Dillon is out of the truck. Dawson Sutton is coming in, but they've kept Ty Dillon around to coach Dawson Sutton. So Sutton is going to finish out the season in this truck. Interesting, but is what it is. Connor Daly, the IndyCar driver, a podium finish for him not too long ago in the IndyCar. Shout out to him. He'll be back in the number 44 truck for Nice Motorsports this week. Corey Day, we talked about him last week in Bristol. Sprint car driver, he's going to be back in the 91 this week for McAnally Hilgeman. He was in the 81 last week. And the number 46 truck is going to be Justin Mondecki, and that is the Young's Motorsports truck. So there's your entry list. Few notables, a few. Hey, that's the one time we'll mention their names. So there you go.
Yeah, and honestly too, it's a lot of fun to have some of these guys like Malcolm in the middle, right? That's a fun guy to have. He gives it everything every time he gets in there. Unfortunately, the finishes have just not been there for him. But doesn't mean that he's not an actually talented race car driver. I want to see him in I want to see him in decent equipment. I want to see what he can do in comparable equipment, because a lot of times, I mean, he's driving in good equipment, but like put him in, like
right. Well, and how does? Yeah, my question, like, how does he, with his name and with who he is, and I don't know what his net worth is or anything, but he's made some money over the years, right? Like, how can he not get a little bit of a better ride? We just kind of keep seeing him in these crappy cars. I'd like to see what he could do in a real car, Rod, or truck in this case. But I don't know. It's sort of, and I get it. Everybody, has their priorities and where to spend their money and budgets and all that. But seems like the type of guy that a sponsor could hook themselves up to and be like, hey, look, Oreos, this guy is just a Malcolm in the middle of the Oreo. I don't know, something. Jeez, come on.
I mean, look at you. Look, 2 years ago.
That took me 5 seconds to come up with, Rod. And all these marketing geniuses out here can't figure something out. Come on, what are we doing?
2 years ago, Cody was too afraid to be on the mic. Now he's writing marketing schemes for everybody out there. I love it. No,
hit me up, Oreo. I'll help you get this figured out, and we'll be fine.
So it'll be a joint sponsorship between Oreo and the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Hell, we'll even put it on
all the flavors of Oreos they come out with, Rod. I mean, we could have a NASCAR Gambling Podcast flavored Oreo. I'm sure we could come up with something delicious.
I would like the chat to figure out what flavor.
I mean, they have Coke flavored Oreos. They have Oreo flavored Coke. Everything. It's crazy. We could come up with something. So yes, let us know what flavor Oreo we should discover as we make this deal for them. As we broker this deal for them.
Snozberries? Is that what it is?
That didn't work out so good last time. We're going for something different.
We are going for something different, of course. No, yeah, for sure. This is gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun breaking down the trucks as we always do. Any big news? I don't think there's any big news. Like we talked about yesterday, not anything.
It's been a slow fucking week for news wise. I mean, there is nothing. Catching up on the chat real fast. Boji Joe, Kubotas are orange. Who's driving an orange truck? Someone is driving the orange Kubota truck, Rod. We're going to talk about it later. That's going to be part of the handicap on them. Mosack in the 7 is interesting. We might have some comments on that. Laura says, don't bet on the girl. LOL. We've bet on Ailey Deegan before, right? I would bet on Danica Patrick back in the day.
Tony?
Tony Bredinger, when she comes up to the Truck Series more. We bet on her in Truck Series already, but I'd like to get her in the Truck Series full time. Genjo Cobb, I've always loved. Like I said, started watching her. I was a kid in 2001. I was like 9, Rod. Started going to Kansas, started following her then. Like every time she would come by, the whole stands would cheer for her. It was great. So I love her. Just we're here to make some money. So unfortunately, not going to be betting on her. But TK says he probably doesn't have the money after all this time. Has been at this too long to still be big news in NASCAR. Yes and no. I mean, you still got to think like, there's people that have been in NASCAR for a long time that still have an impact, and sponsors still want to be with him, right? Like he could do something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Laura says vodka comes in every flavor.
Oh yes,
we could do vodka flavored Oreos, Rod. There you go.
Yeah, I could dig on that. Or look at, I love amaretto sours. So if we did amaretto sour Oreos, maybe, I don't know, chocolate mixed with amaretto. I think I might be singing my own love song.
All right, Rod, should we get into some Truck Series bets?
Let's do that. But before we do, as we always do, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu. Not the menu of Oreo flavors that we're trying to put in the middle of Oreos, but they also now, Underdog Fantasy has first TD projections to go along with every single thing that's out there. There's tons of ways to win with NFL. They got college football. They got MLB, MMA. They've got NASCAR. They've got Formula One and so much more. That lobby jam-packed with profit boosts and no sweat entries. You can use specials and boosts now on all the flex entries as well. And don't worry, we're going to give you a ton of our favorite underdog picks in our DFS episode tomorrow, like we always do. In the meantime, though, sign up with that promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We scared Cody away. That's what happened. We literally scared him away when we were talking about flavors for Oreos. You talked about vodka. He's going to run and grab his vodka now and completely go away. See, he just completely went away. If you're watching on YouTube, you've seen Cody exit the stage, and now he is there. Yeah, I'm just saying this is what happens when we go live for sure. All right, we are going to get into our favorite bets for this Kubota Tractor 200. Look, Kansas is this 1.5 miles now. We're back on these 1.5 miles. We've run everything from short tracks to road course races to super speedways to backyards. Like we've run everything now. We're back on a normal 1.5 miles. We'll see how comfortable these guys can be when they're not beating and banging with each other, when they're not making and hanging right turns. Cody, this is going to be hopefully a comfortable race for them, and yet a comfortable race for us as well.
Yes, I agree with everything you said, Rod. It was all great. Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Hopefully you didn't miss me too much.
Oh, I totally miss you. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do the show alone.
Yeah. We all know you couldn't handle doing the show alone.
Not even close, guys. You think for a second that I could do it now, but I've learned too much from Cody to be able to do it.
I don't know about that. I think you'd be just fine. And you might end up. Who knows if my internet keeps giving out like it is. I don't know what the deal is, but we're back for now, at least, Rod.
Big corporate gambling is on to you, Cody. They're trying to
coming after us. They're coming after us, Rod. We're trying to fight them off in every corner of every. They're coming after my home Wi-Fi internet now. It's ridiculous.
All right, Cody. Well, let's start laying out some bets for this Kubota Tractor 200.
Let's do that, Rod. We're going to hit the head-to-head market a little more than usual this week, which I sort of enjoy. I found a couple that I really, really like this week, and really these are fairly like not, a lot of times the matchups are just so close. You're really picking hairs and kind of like just trying to find a little bit of an edge. But to me, these ones are not as close as a lot of times they are. So I like it. I'm going to start with Grant Enfinger over Ty Majeski. This one's minus 115 over on Bet365. So to kind of preface all of this, and I think something we can use to our advantage, if you look at the Truck Series here lately, Rod, and of course now this isn't going to work. So I'm not. Oh, there it is. Okay, don't worry. They're still trying to get me here, Rod. You look at the Truck Series here lately. We're coming to Kansas Speedway. It's 1.5 miles, right? But lately it's Bristol Motor Speedway, short track. Milwaukee Mile, short track. Richmond, short track. IRP, short track. We had Pocono, a bigger track. Nashville, and middle. Gateway, middle. Now we're all the way back to May. The last time we were on 1.5 miles. So don't let everything that has happened lately influence you too much, because there's going to be a lot of things, especially in the Truck Series, like the difference on who's good on short tracks, who's good on bigger tracks can be much wider, especially in the next head-to-head that I get to, but than it is in the other series, I think. So taking Grant Enfinger over Ty Majeski, as Boji Joe says, the piano play. First of all, that's the first mark in the Majeski bucket is the piano can fall out of the sky any point in time, right? It's always a thing. So you have to worry about that with him. But looking back at Kansas here, Rod, Grant Enfinger, top 5 in 6 of the last 9 Truck Series races at Kansas. He won here last spring, had an absolute rocket ship that day. I was there for that race. A lot of fun, good race by him. And yeah, he kind of kicked everybody's ass in that race. Ty Majeski's recent finishes at Kansas, 33rd, 18th, 25th, and 8th place. He did have a 2nd place in May of 2022, if you want to go all the way back there. 30th, 11th, like none of these super impressive. An 8th and a 2nd, those are decent, but in his overall picture, those are all of his starts here. 4 straight head-to-head wins at Kansas, Enfinger over Majeski. The 2 that Enfinger has won were his very first start, which was 7 races ago. And then when he finished 2nd in the May of 2022, he beat Enfinger by 1 spot, Rod. That's it. Enfinger was right there in 3rd place, right behind him. It was at least close. So it's been a pretty big disparity as far as Enfinger taking care of Majeski pretty good at this track. Now let's go back and look. We've had 4.5 mile tracks this year. These are kind of the tracks that I'm looking at for, and it's tough to go back. Well, these 2 guys, they've been around for years, right? So you can sort of compare that. But as far as like current form, I don't want to look back past this season too much, not at Kansas, just because a lot of things change. But 1.5 miles that we've had this season, go back to Charlotte there in May. Grant Enfinger, 3rd place. Ty Majeski 23rd, Rod. Not really that close, right? Go back to Kansas in the spring. Grant Enfinger in 12th. Ty Majeski in 33rd. Again, not really that close. Now in Texas, Majeski finished 10th. It's not that great of a run, but good enough to beat Enfinger. He had some troubles that day. He finished 29th. Go back to Vegas at the beginning of the year, 9th and 10th place. Enfinger got the better of Majeski. So 3-1 over Enfinger, or for Enfinger over Majeski. Now, I must say, Majeski looked really fast at Las Vegas, if you ask that one guy. But not the point because he didn't finish good. So Enfinger still got him on the day, Rod. Give me Grant Enfinger over Ty Majeski, minus 115. And like, Enfinger disappointed us last week. We were big on him. We thought he was going to look good. He didn't. Things were off. Whatever. I've seen what I need to see out of this car just in general. I've seen what I need to see out of this car or truck, rather, on the 1.5 miles this season. And for Majeski, things go wrong. He's looked really good, not necessarily last week at Bristol, but these other races previously, he won a couple of them. He's looked really good, but all short tracks, they all lean into his style of racing. This one's a little bit different. So yeah, give me Enfinger over Majeski. I feel pretty good about this one.
I feel good about it as well because I'm also taking Grant Enfinger in a head-to-head that I don't fully understand. If the bookmakers are doing this because they've looked at a couple of finishes from Caden Honeycutt.
Well, they looked at the spring race and they went with that, Rod.
Yeah, that's had to have been what they were doing because they put Grant Enfinger in a head-to-head matchup with Caden Honeycutt at minus 115. Give me Grant Enfinger all day long. I know the Caden Honeycutt in that 45 truck has not been terrible this season. He does have an average finish of 14.7, which by all standards, right, that 45 Nice truck probably should be faster than that, but he's not even a full-time driver, Caden Honeycutt. He's only raced in 9 races this season, and in those 9 races, he hasn't had a very good finishing position as far as just overall. I mean, 14.7 average finishing position in 9 races. You would expect him to be a little better than that. How has he showed up in the 1.5 miles that he's been on? Well, like Cody said, he had a 4th place finish at Kansas, started 23rd, finished 4th, but that was his best finish of the season by far. 6th place in Atlanta, 12th at Bristol, 9th at Martinsville, 7th at Charlotte. I mean, another, respectable finish at a 1.5 mile track. That's fine. But 33rd in Nashville, 14th at Richmond, 12th at Milwaukee, 35th at Bristol. We're talking about him going up against a playoff driver in Grant Enfinger. You don't think that team is going to do everything it can to be inside of the top 5 and win this race? I mean, that's what this is all about. Cody just read off all of his stats as far as what he's done on this track and the fact that, he's done, he finished 9th at Las Vegas. Caden Honeycutt wasn't even in that race. Obviously, we talked about the fact that he finished 4th, did Caden Honeycutt earlier in the spring. I mean, Enfinger finished 12th, but it took Enfinger like almost a quarter of the season to get half of the season, essentially, to kind of get his footing. And then after Darlington ripped off a string of great finishes, that 2nd at North Wilkesboro, 3rd at Charlotte, right? 17th at Gateway, okay, but 6th at Nashville, 2nd at Pocono, 3rd at IRP, 4th at Richmond. The last couple of races have been a slide for Enfinger. I'll give him that. But when you put him up against a guy like Caden Honeycutt, who, yeah, okay, he could pop up his head and have a decent finish. I think to me, this is a mismatch. This is a playoff driver versus an occasional driver that finishes okay in the top 10 against a guy that needs to be going for the win to make sure that he advances into the next round of the playoffs. So yeah, give me Grant Enfinger over Caden Honeycutt. I mean, this is almost a no-brainer.
Yeah, this one I think is a little closer than maybe you think it is, just because 7th at Charlotte, 4th at Kansas. I mean, the 2.5 miles that he has raced, he has been decent. I actually considered Honeycutt for a top 5. I chose not to go with it, but I still think that Enfinger is going to be better, so I would definitely take this side as well. But in Boji Joe saying after last week, he has Herbst and Enfinger in the same bag by the curb. So I know that they both disappointed us last week, and Enfinger was disappointing last week. 17th at Bristol, he was 13th at Milwaukee, and both of those weren't great. But I know it's been a long time. You got to go all the way back to August 10th for the next race they had before that. But don't forget, Enfinger was on a tear, making us a lot of money. 4th place at Richmond, we had his top 5 that day. He was 3rd at Indy. He was 2nd at Pocono. By the way, Indy and Pocono, 3rd and 2nd. I didn't throw those in as comp tracks because they're not, but big, fast tracks where you need speed. third and second, Enfinger had the fucking speed. So you got to like that as well, right? He was 6th at Nashville. He had a 17th at Gateway in there, but 3rd at Charlotte, 2nd at North Wilkesboro. Like, since they turned that corner in this truck and figured things out, Enfinger has been good. And so, yeah, I really like him, and I do like him in both of these. Walter saying Majeski versus Honeycutt. I don't know if that's actually one that's out there, if he's just asking. I would lean Honeycutt. Like I said, I think like that's why I chose the Enfinger over Majeski rather than the Enfinger over Honeycutt. Though I like both of them, I feel a lot more comfortable in the Majeski. Majeski has the ability in the type of truck to show up and be fast here and be good. He was really fast in Las Vegas, if you don't remember, right? But I feel a lot more confident in Enfinger over him. So if that is a matchup, and it is on DK Walter saying, I would take the Honeycutt side over Majeski as well.
Yeah. Again, in this one, I think this one was on Caesars. So if you find it on Caesars, then grab
Does
that.
Caesars have truck?
They do now. Yep, they do finally. So take a look at those. We'll come back and we'll have more of our bets. You can recheck the lines on
Caesars. Like I don't know. Yeah, I still don't see. What state are you? I usually use Colorado because it's one of the closer states. I still don't see odds.
I have Arizona, I think, is the one that I pull up when I pull it up.
Well,
No,
if you're in Arizona,
New Jersey.
Well, if you're in New Jersey, you can bet on Caesars. If you're not, fuck you.
Yep,
that's from Caesars, not from me. I don't.
No. We do not. Yeah, we do not endorse that. I'm just kidding. All right, we'll come back with more of our bets that aren't on Caesars. But first, let's tell you about BetUS, because guess what? There were odds up on BetUS for the Truck Series for sure, and I've got some to give to you in a second because we're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. Again, we're going to give you a ton of bets that we like, and a few of those are from BetUS. So support SGPN. Get yourself access to another great book by signing up at BetUS. You can use our link, and you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus when you sign up on your first 3 deposits. Not 1, not 2, 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model. You can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm is going to give you predictions for every game and player prop. It also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Built a model last week. I'm getting ready to build my models for this week's prop bets, but last week I was trying to figure out what to do with Travis Kelce. His reception totals are sitting there at 4.5. I was like, man, they're going to try to get him involved. I got to take the over on this one. Built the model. Rhythm said, no, sir. He is not going to reach 5 receptions. Take the under on his 4.5. I fought kicking and screaming, pushed under, and guess what? Travis Kelce, only 4 catches on the night. Rhythm wins again. You win again. So much fun to be had. So use Rhythm to build all of your player props, models, and just cash. And you can get a 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Rod, Laura says sometimes her site forgets trucks altogether. Laura, I know you're in California. Not a bunch of opportunities or options, but BetUS, good old cryptocurrency there. Use that promo code SGPN. Might work for you. And they have trucks up. So
They do have
I would highly suggest that. Anyways, Rod. Next head-to-head for me, it's our boy. You just mentioned Taylor. You mentioned Travis Kelce. I'm going to talk about Taylor Gray. Tay Gray. Over Lane Riggs, Rod, -115. What do you think you're doing, Cody? Do you not know the 38 truck has won the last 2 races in a row? Lane Riggs is on a fire. He's on a tear. Rod, we had him at 18-1 to win last week. How could I possibly go against him this week? You know why, Rod? Because we're not on a short track anymore. We're not at Kansas anymore, Toto. Actually, we are at Kansas, but we're not on a short track anymore, Lane Riggs. And that is a problem for you. Not so much a problem for Taylor Gray. This is purely now's the time to pivot, right? We were all over Riggs. We said to bet him. We didn't have him outright at Milwaukee, but we had top 5. We won some money on him there. We had some money on him to win last week at Bristol. He did both. It was great. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. Now you switch. Now you pivot. You get off of it because Lane Riggs has not shown us just yet that he can be good on the bigger tracks. Maybe that's coming. Again, I hope he's back next season. I think we'll see a lot more from him. All that stuff, whatever, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Lane Riggs, 1 start here in the spring, Rod. 18th place. Not bad, right? But 18th place for a big matchup, not great. Now, Taylor Gray was 27th, so Lane Riggs actually did get the better side of him. But not too worried about Taylor Gray. Had a rough race here in the spring. Roddy was 2nd place last fall in this race. A great run by him there. 9th place here in May of 2023. Riggs only has the 1 start, of course. But Riggs, 4 top 5 finishes in a row, won the last 2 races, right? That's why he's in this head-to-head matchup. But I just read you off the schedule. I just read you off where they've been. All short tracks. Let's go back and let's look. The 4 comp tracks, right? Charlotte, Taylor Gray 12th, Lane Riggs 28th. Not that close, right? Kansas, that's the one where Lane got him. 18th to 27th, but still, like, even though Lane got him, 18th place, like, we know that Taylor was running better than that throughout the day. Didn't get the finish, and sometimes that'll happen. Texas, 7th for Taylor Gray, 31st for Lane Riggs. And Las Vegas, 4th place for Taylor Gray, 22nd place for Lane Riggs. It hasn't been anywhere close on the bigger tracks. And so, yeah, this is an easy Taylor Gray over Lane Riggs for me, Rod, because this is where we get the biggest advantage, because the books are looking at, what have you done for me lately? How have things gone? And he's been on absolute fire, and he's looked really, really good. But they're not taking into account that that's at the short tracks. We've been telling you since before the season started, we couldn't wait to bet him on short tracks, right? Guys over on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show, Derek, I hope he opens the season shitty. I hope everything goes bad for him so we get good numbers on the short tracks. And we have, and we've hit all season. But, yeah, this is easily a Taylor Gray over Lane Riggs for me. I noticed TK as well, double duty for Gray, although I guess his Xfinity will be after the truck race anyways. Might be triple duty. He usually runs the ARCA race here as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him in that one. I know he has the last couple of times that I was there for the ARCA race. So an ARCA is racing Thursday night. Maybe it's Friday afternoon. I can't remember. But he might be in that too, but he's going to have that extra on-track time in the Xfinity Series for practice and qualifying beforehand as well. So that doesn't hurt as well for sure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think I'm taking the other side of a head-to-head on Taylor and Xfinity. So don't listen to that episode if you have sensitive ears and you don't like hearing things against Taylor Gray.
Oh, Walter.
Jeske versus Riggs on
Jeske versus Riggs. Just leave it alone. Don't even go near that one.
I wouldn't even look at that one.
Who's going to finish 22nd and win this head-to-head?
It's how big the piano is that falls on either one of them. That's what I'd like to bet on. Give me the over/under the tonnage of the piano that falls on either one of these guys. I'll probably take the over. Stop me. Just stop me at this point.
Rob,
but okay.
Stop. Hold on.
All right. Matt Crafton. I at one point I'll stop taking him as
where's the last place that Matt Crafton won at, Ron?
Right here, right? Matt Crafton. Top 5. No, I don't.
I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say I don't think so. I don't know. Matt Crafton. If they gave me top 10s, I would take Matt Crafton as a top 10 truck easily at 750 or 700 or whatever they'd end up giving us. But because they don't, Matt Crafton top 5, 15-1. Matt Crafton on this track has 7 top 5 finishes in his career. He actually won here in 2020, which again probably
is his last win, Rod.
There you go.
It is 2020. The EPT 200 at Kansas is his last win to this point.
And so he's got 3 wins on this track altogether. His best finish since 2022 was in the spring of that year. He finished 9th, but he does have an 11th place finish and a 10th place finish in that span as well, on top of a 15th and then a 33rd from 2 years ago, which kind of doesn't prove the point. But it's Matt Crafton. That dude is ageless. I got to give it up for the old guys. Las Vegas, he ended up finishing 7th place on just a couple of spots outside of the top 5. You talk about Pocono, he finished 8th there. Bristol, he finished 4th. Like last week at Bristol, he finished 6th. I want a top 10 on him, but this is the kind of guy that, that team, that 88 team is so good still. It's just they don't have the finishes. And sometimes when they're not playing for anything, they just sort of go. Yeah, I love this Boji Joe. He's like the Ryan Sieg of trucks. Like you want him and you expect him to be among the top front runners each and every week. And then you think to yourself, but it's Matt Crafton. Of course he's going to be. And then the announcers are going to talk about him when he's running in 7th place. They're going to be like, and look at this, an impressive run out of Matt Crafton. And then when you go and you finish the race, you're like, well, what the hell happened to Matt Crafton? Because you don't know why he started to fall back in the ranks. So I'm just really placing this 15-1, hoping that Matt Crafton decides to pull whatever he pulled from Vegas, that other 1.5 miles in Vegas. And, and the Kansas, he finished 10th here in the spring. If they could just juice that up a little bit and push him into the top 5.
You got to think of the people who finished ahead of him that aren't in this race too.
That's true too. There was a lot of folks in that race that are no longer with us. As in Zane Smith, he's not in this race anymore. Tanner Gray was, but that was about it. I mean, really, it was just Zane Smith.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking it was more than that, but for some reason I thought Kyle was in this one. But either way, that's a 9th place if Zane Smith's not in the race, right?
Yeah. So, give me Matt Crafton as a top 5 at 15-1. That's on BetUS. That's a great number that BetUS is giving us right now.
Yeah, and Crafton top 5. I mean, it's really any week is a good bet at 15-1. You're getting such big odds for a guy that's consistently up there and in the area that's going to have a chance. So, I always never really have an argument against Matt Crafton. Side of his last win, Rod, maybe he breaks the winless streak. 2020. It's been a while since he's won. Maybe he'll get back to victory lane. Maybe we're not going to go quite that far, Rod. But somebody that's going to be in contention for victory lane this week, Sanchez, top 5, -125. I really, really like this. Rod, I mentioned earlier that you have to scroll down to the 8th person on the board or whatever it was for the best average finish of current active drivers that are racing in this race. Nick Sanchez is that guy. He is the best average finish of any driver who started at least one truck race here since 2021. 6.7 average finish for him. 6th place here in the spring, 8th place last fall, 6th place last spring as well. Those are his 3 starts here. All good, solid finishes from him. No top 5s just yet, but he's been a 1.5 mile guy. 17th at Vegas to open the season wasn't super impressive, but I think he had a speeding penalty late that kind of cost him a lot of track position there. 3rd place at Texas, so that's obviously in the top 5. 6th place here. You take Zane Smith out of that race. Boom, he's up in 5th place. He won the Charlotte race, the most recent 1.5 miles that we've been on. But Rod, the thing that sticks out to me, he led 168 laps at Texas last year. That's when we were like, whoa, this guy can show up on these intermediate tracks, and he's just fast every single time. Even in the spring when he finished 6th here, Rod, he started in 31st. Didn't matter how bad he started. He still fought his way up there throughout the day, got the really good finish. I think that Sanchez is going to do that again. And, when I look at this field, Rod, and you look at the outrights, and it's Corey Heim at the top to no surprise, right? He's going to be good. We're going to talk about him later. Christian Eckes, he's going to be good. He's going to be fast. Then it's Sanchez. Then it sort of falls off, and Raja Caruth should be good. I was sad that his numbers are so good because I wanted to bet on him. Not getting the 80-1 this time, folks. It's only 8-1, unfortunately. He should be good, but a little bit of a wild card. Enfinger should be good. Is he top 5 good? Majeski, I don't think he's anywhere near the top 5, right? Honeycutt, maybe. Taylor Gray, I think, could be near the top 5. Lane Riggs, like Ankrum, maybe. But it's just like Sanchez, if he doesn't have any problems throughout the day, should easily be a top 5 truck. That makes the -125 worth it. So give me some Nick Sanchez top 5 at -125.
I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. In fact, so much so that I'll talk about him in a little bit.
That was your Caruth talk right there.
That was it.
It's not like the problem with Caruth, and he's really run well at Kansas. One of the reasons I gave him out 80-1 at Las Vegas to win, and luckily he did, and we took advantage of it then because he's gone from 80-1 this spring at Las Vegas to 8-1 as the 4th favorite on the board now. There's just not a lot of value left. His top 5 number's not great. I don't know that he's reliable enough to want to bet a short odds top 5 on. like at 80-1 and the big numbers we were getting for the top fives, yeah, it was worth it because we knew he had the ability to get there. But is he consistently that? Maybe he is, but there's just not any value left.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point too. Is it the consistency of it? I mean, yeah, no, I don't, not right now, or else we would be betting him each and every week. It's the Kyle Larson argument all over again. Sometimes you just have to place the favorite bet because it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
this is not it with Caruth.
Yeah.
So
exactly, and he is a good driver. He says so. He's not a good driver. His equipment's good, and 80-1 with a question mark. So he was 80-1 to win the race at Las Vegas this spring. I gave him out on the show, and he won the race at 80-1. So we all cashed that ticket. That was a lot of fun and really exciting. And he is a very good driver. And the reason I gave him out at that number is because he is good. He beat Kyle Busch that day, but at only 8-1, it's just, again, it's a question of value. I don't think the value's there anymore. But
no, I agree with you on that one.
Continue, Rod.
Boji Joe talking about Laura loves Sanchez. If you can roll the R, you can't roll the R in Sanchez.
There is no R.
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying. Sanchez. No, you can't do it. But I will say, I do love that on BetUS it gives out Nicholas Sanchez. So gotta love that one. All right, my next bet, Ben Rhodes. Took everything in my being to say Ben Rhodes and not Cody Rhodes. Ben Rhodes, I'm going to give Ben Rhodes out as a top 3 truck in this instance at 8-1. 8-1 is a gigantic number for Ben Rhodes to be a top 3 truck. This is playoff Ben Rhodes. I think we talked about it earlier in the season, right? I don't know, where there's just that Superman cape comes off. We haven't seen it yet out of Ben Rhodes, unfortunately, but at some point, that Superman, that suit's going to come off. The glasses are going to come off. Hold on. The glasses are going to come off. And then all of a sudden, here's Superman standing in front of you where there was Clark Kent. And Ben Rhodes is going to have himself a day. This could very well be that day. Now, has he been a top 3 truck on this particular track? Yes, but once. Once he's been a top 3 truck on this track. And that was back in 2019 where he finished as a runner-up on this track. He does have only one other top 5. So this is why this is an 8-1 bet for a top 3, because it's not necessarily going to make you feel good about this. But this season overall, like we said, it's been a struggle for Ben Rhodes. Average finish of 15.2, right? But Charlotte, he did have a top 5 finish. That was great. Darlington, he had a 3rd place finish on the season as well. Richmond, a 7th place finish. Nashville, a 7th place finish. Milwaukee, 9th place finish. The top 3 number I'm giving you, because I think that if Ben Rhodes turns into Superman again, then 8-1 is a fantastic number for it. But I will also tell you, his top 5 number is at plus 380. Take that as well. Go heavier on the top 5, a little lighter on the top 3, because if he misses, if he finishes 4th, that's going to piss me off, because I've seen a lot of these bets of the last couple of weeks, one position off of cashing, right?
I think if you ever bet a top 3, you have to bet the top 5. Just
I agree.
Cover the back door.
I agree. Listen. And so that's what I'm saying. Ben Rhodes, take that top 5 at plus 380. That is the safe one right there, because I feel like that has a lot more of opportunity. But that top 3, something in me says Ben Rhodes is not going to roll over this week, and he's going to come out and do well. And if that means that he has a top 3 finish, that's pretty well, and that's going to get you an 8-1.
Rod, I have more thoughts on Ben Rhodes coming up later, so I will save all of my thoughts for that.
Wait,
next up,
what am I going to do? What am I going to do again?
I think it was you rolling. It was you rolling the R's, because then he says, "Rod, I love you."
Ben Rhodes.
Yeah, see, that works a lot better than Sanchez. It's tough to roll the R that doesn't exist. Although for me, it's tough to roll the R even if it does exist. So there's that. Anyways, top 5's Rod. Taylor Gray, plus 240. I mean, I really kind of already made the case for him earlier when I was talking about him in the head-to-head market, but he's been good on the intermediate tracks. He's been good at Kansas, and just kind of rolling that over and into this, right? So you go back 27th here in the spring. I get it, right? Bad day, but 2nd place last fall. That's clearly inside of the top 10. 9th place here in May of 23 before he was the Taylor Gray that he is now. 12th at Charlotte, not top 5, but it's, somewhat close. 7th here, of course. 7th at Texas. That's close to a top 5. 4th at Vegas. So 3 of your, I guess he was 27, not 7th at Kansas, but 7th at Texas, 4th at Vegas, 12th at Charlotte. all either in the top 5, close enough to the top 5 that I like it. And I think the number's big enough. It's plus 240, not a ton of value, I guess, on like you're either getting really short top 5s, your end fingers or your Heim, your Eckes are impossible, right? They're like minus 400, minus 200. Some shows give out minus 200 bets. We don't so much do that, Rod.
And then get excited and super like, yeah, we nailed it.
Yeah, it happens, but sometimes we'll go a little far. But anyways, Taylor Gray, top 5 plus 240. For all the reasons that I mentioned earlier, this is the type of race. And again, you go through that list and you're just like top 5 with Heim, top 5 with Eckes, top 5 with Sanchez, but then it's cloudy after that. And to get a guy at plus 240 that should be one of those next favorites to get in there, I like that. So give me Taylor Gray, top 5.
Yes, sir. Taylor Gray, top 5. We'll be cheering for it. The shifties want their Taylor Gray back, and so do we. So I like that. I also like the unofficial camera operator, in-truck camera operator of the Craftsman Truck Series. That is Daniel Dye. BetUS has him in Group B. There's a couple other actually that have him in Group B in this same instance. And in fact, one of those groups actually has him down even at like plus 160 or something to win this group. So what's crazy is that they have him so low, and BetUS is giving you plus 260 on him as well. I'm trying to find that Group B. Daniel Dye plus 185 on Caesars to win this group, whereas he's plus 260 over on BetUS to win. Who else is in Group B, you ask, Rod? Quit beating around the bush. Fine. Brendan Queen, Stuart Friesen, and Chase Purdy. Look, here's the thing. I understand that we all love us some Friesen, right? Stuart Friesen is the official Canadian that's actually a Canadian of this show. And he's actually done well a couple of times on this track in the recent past, even 7th in the fall of last year, 4th in the spring of last year. But that's it. I mean, he died at 3rd place in 2018, but some of you guys weren't even born back in 2018. So we can't really count that. 3 top 10 finishes in 11 starts on this track. His last outing this spring started 8th, finished 25th. Outside of that, 20th, 14th, 34th, 27th, 15th, 3rd, and then 32nd. Like, that doesn't scream to me somebody that I really want to back on this particular track. Can he pop up and have a top 10 finish? Sure. But you know how many times he's done that this season? 5. You know how many races there's been? 18. That's not a good percentage of folks. 18th place at Las Vegas earlier this season. Charlotte, he did have a runner-up finish. That was fantastic. That we were like, oh man, Stuart Friesen's back. He's not back, but he's there, right? So not really backing him on this one. Chase Purdy, Rod, he's got 3 poles on this track. He's fast. He's lightning fast. He's got 3 poles. Guess what his average finishing position is? 20.4. Oh man, I don't know what happens to him on this track, but 28th in the spring after starting on the pole. 14th last fall after starting on the pole. 33rd the year before that after starting 3rd, 25th, 13th, 25th, 10th, 15th. Stop me when you get to a good finish. You can't, because that's it. That's the extent of his starts. So Chase Purdy, not necessarily running well. We know Daniel Dye, right? Playoff truck. This is a guy who's going to be competing for the playoffs. What about Brandon Queen? He's got 2 starts ever in the truck series. We were all excited about him in North Wilkesboro. In fact, we took him because we said that one truck's been great, right? That one truck has actually done well, should do well. Brandon Queen in North Wilkesboro started 26th, finished 4th. We were like, okay, that's great. What is he going to do when he gets to an actually bigger track? Well, he answered that in Nashville, a 19th place finish in Nashville after starting 12th. This is only his 3rd career start. We're talking about Daniel Dye, right? Daniel Dye, who is going to be a contender for the playoffs. I can't see how he doesn't win this group. And so I'm taking Daniel Dye plus 260 to win this group in that beautiful 43 truck. I mean, it's our favorite camera operator, right? 7 top 10 finishes this season, 1 top 5. In the last few races, he's had 8th place at Richmond, 8th place in Milwaukee, tough day at Bristol, but 2nd at Nashville, 9th at North Wilkesboro, like I said, 9th earlier this year in Kansas. Tough day at Las Vegas to start out the season, but he's getting better. He's a playoff driver. Daniel Dye to win Group B, wherever you can find it.
Yeah, I really like this play, actually. I think this is not the first time you've given out Dye in a group that's a bunch of non-playoff drivers and him who is a playoff driver, Rod. And I think you hit it last time as well. It just, that part of it doesn't make a ton of sense. For whatever reason, Dye just doesn't carry the name value. And he's not been impressive over previous seasons, right? But this season, it's been different. We talked about him yesterday in the Xfinity Series show, how to bet on him over there as well, because he's going to be running double duty in the Xfinity Series. Also, he's moving up to Xfinity Series full time next year. He's been impressive. He comes into this race 7 points under the cut line. Needs to mind his P's and Q's. Have a good day, Rod. They're going to be on top of their game. They're going to be ready for this. And yeah, like to your point, Purdy, he's been fast in qualifying, but he doesn't ever put it together in the races. Friesen, we know what he's been. And for Brandon Butterbean, like, great story. What did I say with Riggs, Rod? It's not a short track anymore. So this is a big difference for a guy like that that's not used to running these big tracks just yet. So yeah, I think this is a great number at plus 260. So shout out to BetUS for giving us that.
Indeed. Bet the camera. Michael Waltrip, will he make a cameo next week? Michael Waltrip's gonna be riding shotgun with Daniel Dye next week. Yeah,
is that like, Owen Larson gets up on the window when Kyle wins? Does Michael like run out on the track? And will it be like, not that I really want to bring this broadcast up because it was a sad day, but 2001 Daytona 500, right? Daryl's calling Mikey to the line before we know the fate of Earnhardt, and he's like, oh, he's crying, and he's gonna do it. He finally does it. Like, you think Mikey has a similar call when Dye finally wins, and he's just like, I'm so proud of my son. He did it. Very possible.
My boy. All right.
All right, Rod. Moving on. Top fives. Going to continue in the top five market. Here's my two long shots. You know how much I like to do this. Did this in the Xfinity Series show yesterday. Look, it's always good to have some of these guys because guys will pop up. They can get these done. And I like both these guys to get it done, Rod. Connor Mosack, top five, 7-1. You might be saying, what are you talking about? Yeah, I sort of thought that when I picked him too, but that's all right, Rod. He qualified 5th place here in the spring in the 7 truck. So the 7 truck had speed, which we know it does, right? And we've seen it's an all-star truck, whatever, but he finished 30th. So result, not so much there. That's the type of results you can get from Mosack a lot of times. Don't be surprised if he finishes 30th. But on the other side of the coin, 8th place finish at Charlotte. You like that, right? Last year here at Kansas in the Xfinity Series, 14th place finish in that 24 car. That's not the greatest car in the world, right? Actually doesn't exist this year. So that's how good it wasn't. But had a strong finish in that. And this is, as Boji Joe's saying, the 7 car or truck, as he corrects himself. It is the 7 truck, which we've seen be a strong truck from Spire, all year. We know it's going to have speed. You just talked about Purdy getting on the pole a lot at these types of tracks, which is a Spire truck. We talked earlier about Sanchez, how good he is. It's a Rev truck, but it's prepped by Spire, and it's basically a Spire truck as well. And he was 8th place just a couple of weeks ago at the most recent 1.5 miles we had at Charlotte. So he can get in range, right? And again, if you think, okay, it's going to be Heim, it's going to be Eckes, it's going to be really those are Sanchez, right? Those 3 guys are going to be in the top 5. But if one of them has a problem, then that opens up another spot. And then it's sort of wide open after that. Gives you an opportunity for some longer shots. Rod, speaking of longer shots, Dean Thompson, baby, top 5 at 12-1. Look, I'm telling you, Dean Thompson is not Raja Caruth, but I've seen all the things that I saw from Raja Caruth in Dean Thompson, and I don't think he's going to win. He is 80-1 to win, which I was like, is this a sign, Rod? But I don't think it's that big of a sign. But Dean Thompson is very, very capable of getting this type of finish. Dean Thompson is in a Tricon truck, the same type of truck that Corey Heim is in. It's a fast truck. It's a good truck. He just, he finds trouble a lot, and he creates a lot of trouble. But on the bigger tracks, he creates less trouble because there's less trouble to get into, which is what you love. And that's where that raw speed comes in more, right? I did look at Indy. I did look at Pocono for Dean Thompson because he finished 9th in both of those races at 12-1 to get inside the top 5. We don't have the opportunity to bet him at top 10 because we would hammer that after 9th at Indy, 9th at Pocono, right? Not only that, he finished 9th at Charlotte. Okay, we're on a 9th place. If you could bet him exactly to finish 9th, let's get that option, right? 8th place here in the spring. He was only 3 spots outside of the top 5 in the spring. You take Zane Smith out of that race. Now he's 7th place. He only needs 2 more spots, Rod. 16th at Texas. Again, shows some speed. He finished 3rd at Charlotte last year, so he's shown that he can finish inside of the top 5 on these 1.5 miles. But also, if he ends up wadded up in a pile and wrecks, don't be surprised, because that's the Dean Thompson. You get one Dean Thompson or you get the other, but he's a very fast truck and he's a fast driver. If he can just keep it out of trouble, he's got the opportunity to put himself in position for a top 5. 12-1 for that top 5. Honorable mention for the 80-1 outright. I don't know that Dean Thompson's ready to win a race, but he can definitely put himself in the top 5 at the end of the day. And you're just going to be like, man, that truck was just so fast today. And it shouldn't be that surprising because we've seen it be really fast. And then when he wrecks, again, it shouldn't be that surprising because he does that a lot too. And that's sort of what you get. But with these long shot guys, like, it doesn't really matter. I don't care if Connor Mosack finishes in 10th place. Like, well, that to me, that just shows he had the speed to do the top 5, right? And if he wrecks out, well, you know he could do that as well. And it's the same thing for both these guys. Long shots for a reason, but Mosack at 7-1, Thompson at 12-1 rather for the top 5s.
Yep, I absolutely love that we tend to always give you both sides too. We're never just pumping up picks just to pump our picks, and that, there's not caution in some of these because it's gambling. Like, that's was the thing, gambling for a reason. I've heard that all over the place, so it's definitely true. But yeah, look, long shots are fun, and that's kind of what long shots with a chance are even more fun, because you have a chance to actually cheer them on, and they're not going to be out of it.
Don't bet Jimmy Johnson for a top 10.
Oh my God, we're done with this.
You set it up, Rod. You said long shots with a chance. You think I was going to not toss it out there?
Here's the thing with you guys. I told you what I'm going to do already when Jimmy Johnson finishes in the top 10. I'm creating a theme song for it. I'm going to come out to to it. Like
OG Joe's going to parlay Dean Thompson and JJ top 5.
You guys are
so
hilarious.
There you go.
I'm coming out like I'm coming with my WWE music, just chomping out there singing. I'm hit. All right.
Also, Jessica pointing out that he's listening to me, which he said on the X earlier that he doesn't listen to me. So thank you, Jessica, for calling Boji Joe on his bullshit.
Let's go. All right. I'm going with the winning truck number at -115. My buddy Cody always says to me, you only pay the juice if you lose. I don't know how on God's green earth you lose this one.
Hold on, Rod. What number does Corey Heim drive?
The one that's under 13.5, which is why I'm surprised that they set this at 13.5. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would think that they would probably put this at 9.5, but they didn't. They put it at 13.5. So fine, give me that one, because guess what? You get Corey Heim at -115, but you also get Grant Enfinger, who we just talked about. You get Connor Mosack, who drives the 7 truck, who could accidentally win this race just by being in that 7 truck. You get Nick Sanchez, which is who's, some people words, but really, if you're giving me any number that has Corey Heim at anything less than -200, then you have to scoop this up as well. Because now, what happens if Corey Heim ends up getting spun on the last lap by Grant Enfinger, and Grant Enfinger powers ahead to the win? What happens if Nick Sanchez actually just comes out and bulldozes the field and wins, right? Then you're covered with both of those as well. And you can still cash if Corey Heim wins, and triple down and double down and place as many, I'm sorry, Boji, you get Butterball. Yes, you do. You get the 1 truck as well. Well, hell, like, you get the 02 Nathan Bird, right? I mean, if that's what you want, you get Marco Andretti, Jennifer Jo Cobb. I'm sorry if I left them out.
Get those people, Rod.
You do get them. I mean, they're included in the 13. I'm sorry, and they also Jake Garcia. We forget about Jake Garcia, who's out there as well.
We do. So, what number is he in? I don't even remember. Isn't he in like the 35?
Oh, no, like number 13.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the championship tickets threw out a long time ago. Thanks for bringing that old sore up, Rod.
You're welcome. But yeah, so give me winning truck number under 13.5. It's as simple as Corey Heim and the other guy that I'm going to give out later on are the two that I really think are going to win this race.
Well, if you can't tell, folks, I stole Corey Heim from Rod for the outright, but I do like this because it's going to be a Corey Heim race. I believe that, but he's only +150 most places. And this is -115, but you're getting the insurance of Nick Sanchez, who's the 3rd favorite in this race. You're getting the insurance of Grant Enfinger, who's the 5th favorite in this race, and who should both be fast, and they can beat Corey Heim, right? So I do like getting the insurance for not that much less of a price, really, than just Heim's outright. So I think that it is a good way to get it. But Rod, if you have Bet365, they're boosting Corey Heim up to plus 162. He's plus 150 everywhere else. Don't care. Didn't matter what the number was. I was going to be on Corey Heim this week. It's Heim time, Rod. Again, look back over the last few races. You're like, man, where's he been? What's going on? Well, they're short tracks, and we told you not to bet on him. And now it's time to flip that switch. We're going to be on a big, fast track, and he's going to kick everyone's ass, and you're going to be like, God damn, Corey Heim is back. And you shouldn't be that surprised, Rod, because we told you. Guess who won the spring race here, leading 79 laps? Oh, that's right, Corey Heim. 4th place in this race last season, led 40 laps. 2nd place here in his first start in the Tricon truck in May of 2023. Last week, even though he's not been that great, 2nd place, led 65 laps, right? Pocono, the last big track we had, Rod, well, he led 55 laps and won the race. Led 72 laps at Charlotte, got in a wreck, unfortunately didn't finish well there, but was a very fast truck that day. 2nd place at Texas, 3rd place at Las Vegas, which was to Raja Caruth, and I think Kyle Busch finished 2nd in that one, and I think Heim had a speeding penalty in that one too or something. There was a lot of people had issues in that Vegas race, but Corey Heim should be fast on these big tracks. He's not hit lately. We've been off of him lately. We said don't take him, which was the correct call. This is when you put your chips back in on Corey Heim. It's Heim time. Plus 162, plus 150, whatever you can get it at, take it. And then, Rod, you talked earlier about Ben Rhodes. Boji Joe was asking earlier who's going to be in the Kubota orange truck. That is Mr. Benjamin Rhodes. Rod, Ben Rhodes enters this elimination race, 12 points under the cut line. You said earlier when you were talking about him that you just had a feeling. I'm glad that the feeling was mutual because I just had a feeling. You know what? Let me read you his stats, Rod. Don't care. Doesn't fucking matter. It's Ben Rhodes in the motherfucking playoffs, and he's 25-1. If he jumps off the sheet and ends up on my card, who am I to argue with it? Ben Rhodes can just show up and win these fucking races whenever he wants. I did have a few stats wrote down, but I just threw my paper, so oh well. He won at Charlotte last year, Rod. I don't care. Ben Rhodes, elimination race. This is what he lives for. Ice running through those veins. Give me Ben Rhodes at 25-1.
Listen, both of these, you were like you said. So I'm driving back from. This is why, guys. There's no graphic today, unfortunately, for the YouTube guys. I'm sorry. My day job ran very long, and I was driving home, and I text Cody. I said, "Got it. You know, I'm heading home right now." So he says to me, "This is me claiming Corey Heim right now."
I hadn't had time to create the sheet yet, but I wanted to make sure Rod knew I'm in on Corey Heim.
Yeah, and literally I was like, okay, that's fine. So then I get home and I open the doc. He's got Corey Heim and he's got Ben Rhodes, and I'm like, damn it, fine. But I love both of these plays. These are both my hammers, especially 25-1 for Ben Rhodes. Just like you said, Cody, I just have this feeling that he's going to come to play. And I mean, the dude wins championships when he's not supposed to. So, here we are. All right, fine. If neither one of those guys wins, give me Nicholas Sanchez at plus 650 over on Caesars. That's his best number. The Sanchez, I don't know if that was.
I know. I was like, I wonder if Rod meant to type that in there or not, but
I really
like it. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the Sanchez.
Because you called N finger N ginger too, so I was like, maybe he's just not paying attention to what he's writing. But
so these glasses, they're just for show. I still can't see, so it doesn't even matter. Like,
oh, that explains the Jimmy Johnson bit. Okay, makes a lot more sense now.
I meant to type Jenny Johnson, and that's what ended up.
I would actually bet on Jenny over Jimmy at this point.
Oh my God, that's it. Everybody, thanks for joining us. We're gonna be. No, I'm just kidding. No, for Nick Sanchez, I think it was Seth, my buddy over at IBT. Right, go check out the In Between Media NASCAR podcast as well. He named him the Sanchez, so I'm going to give full credit to him. The Sanchez.
Walter saying Ben Rhodes is 30-1 on DraftKings. All these places didn't have odds when I was looking. So thank you, Walter. We're gonna change the official pick. No longer taking Ben Rhodes 25-1, Rod. I'll take Ben Rhodes 30-1 instead.
Rocky Road. So yes, Nick Sanchez. He is, what did I say? Plus 650 over on Caesars. On this particular track, on this Kansas Speedway, Nick Sanchez, a 6th place, 8th place, and 6th place. But he has led laps on this track. He led 43 in the fall of 2023, and he did lead a lap earlier this season for 6th place. So not outside of the 6th place finish. But here's what I'm looking at when you look at Nick Sanchez. He came out and he won Daytona. That was like fantastic. Like we're okay, great. Nick Sanchez off to a great start. then has some ho-hum finishes. But in his entire season, in 18 starts this year, he's only been outside of the top 10 6 times. He's got 12 top 10 finishes in 18 races, 9 top 5, and those 2 wins. He won at Charlotte, 1.5 miles, right? Means he's got speed in that truck. 3rd at Gateway. His last 2 finishes, 4th at Milwaukee, 5th at Bristol. He finished as a runner-up in Darlington. He finished 3rd in Texas, right? Another 1.5 miles. So he had a bad day in Vegas. That was after he won and then finished 5th in Atlanta, but then had the 17th, 17th, and 18th. And we were like, oh man, what happened to Nick Sanchez? Well, then he comes back 4th at Milwaukee, 3rd at Texas, 6th at Kansas, 2nd at Darlington, 7th at North Wilkesboro, wins Charlotte, 3rd at Gateway. Now he's in the middle of that, or then he was in the middle of that streak where you're like, oh, what happened to Nick Sanchez? 13th, 13th, 10th, 30th. Now we're seeing the rebound, 4th, 5th. If you've paid attention to patterns, Nick Sanchez has 3 or 4 races where he skids and then comes back for a string of good finishes. I think he's in line for a win, especially at 16 or plus 650. That's a good number for a guy who could end up winning this race just on sheer speed alone.
Yeah, I made the case from the top 5. I mean, he shows up on these 1.5 miles, so no argument from me on Sanchez. I think you could bet all 3 of these guys and have a pretty solid outright card.
Indeed. All right. Speaking of betting cards, get out your pen and paper. Wow,
Andrew showed up just in time. Said he just made it here to hear the winners. Now you get the recap. Make sure you go back and listen to the whole show. You get all the reasoning, and you can see my technical difficulties and everything else. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yep. And there's a lot of R's rolled in this episode, so make sure you hang around for that. Cody gave you Grant Enfinger to finish better than Ty Majeski at -115 over on Bet365. I said that same Ginger would finish better than Caden Honeycutt at -115.
That's what it says in the doc, folks.
It does say Ginger in the doc. I'm sorry. And then Cody gave you Taylor Gray over Lane Riggs at -115. I said Matt Crafton is a top 5 truck at 15-1 over on BetUS. Cody gave you Nick Sanchez as a top 5 truck at -125. I gave you Ben Rhodes as a top 3 truck at 8-1. And then top 5 is where I feel more comfortable, but I love the number for top 3 at +380. Cody gave you Taylor Gray as a top 5 truck at +240. I said Daniel Dye would win Group B over on BetUS, but he's kind of matched up with the same folks in all of them. But BetUS is giving you +264. So take him over Queen, Friesen, and Purdy. Cody gave you Connor Mosack. I was almost going to say Connor Moylesack as a top 5 at 7-1. And then Dean Thompson as a top 5 at 12-1. I said the winning truck number would be under 13.5 at -115. Cody said it's time, baby, at +162. And then Cody Rhodes, Ben Rhodes. I did it. I did it at 30-1. And then I said the Sanchez at +650 is my pick to win the Kubota Tractor 200 from the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas.
I like it, Rod. It is Thursday night football this evening. Giants, Cowboys. Who you
Go
taking
Giants.
on?
Go Giants.
Well, I'll also be rooting for the Giants, but you got to bet the Cowboys. They're probably going to utterly destroy the Giants. So, yeah, I would definitely be in on the Cowboys, Rod. Here to make money.
Only scored like 5 touchdowns all season.
Yeah. Do you know what they've done to the Giants lately? I think they beat them in both games last year by 40 points. Not even close. They've not played well. This is a great spot for them. They're going to get up. Dak's going to look like a hero. All the Cowboy fans all weekend, they're going to be like, oh, it's our year. We're back. They're going to lose in the playoffs. It's great. But, yeah, they are the bet for tonight. Not so much the rest of the season. Andrew as well saying it's Moylesack. That's right. And Boji Joe saying Red Merkel. Thank you, Boji Joe. Appreciate it. I have a lot of articles, sportsgamblingpodcast.com, including I'm one of the 3 guys that does all the game. We have a preview for every game each weekend for the NFL. We split it up, so I usually have 5 or 6 of those. I always share those over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. So make sure you follow me there, Rod. NASCAR article. I get a lot of other NFL stuff. All sort. Whatever they'll let me write. Adam knows he can hit me up. I'll write whatever it is. So, yeah, make sure you follow me over there. Make sure you subscribe to the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Rod, we forgot to make our fantasy picks. I know we're an hour and 10 minutes into this. Should we speedily make those?
I'm already playing the theme music. You've already been given it.
I know you are. Okay, we're going to be fast. I'm logging in as quickly as possible. We're so far getting our ass kicked in the playoffs. Remember, we killed these guys in the regular season. We reset everything for the playoffs. Bad decision because it's not gone well for us. But we got races to come back. That's what we're going to do, Rod. So let's see. It's Heim time, right? We got 4 starts left. Do we just play Corey Heim?
Do it.
Okay.
I can't get cute anymore.
We need 2 B drivers. We only have 1 start left with Enfinger, so I think we save him for a short track. Dean Thompson, if we want to call our shot there. Taylor Gray. I don't mind that. Taylor Gray, Timmy Hill, Friesen, Riggs, Allen, Daniel Dye, and Brett Holmes.
I'd say Riggs. Oh, not Riggs. I'm
Not
sorry.
Riggs.
Taylor, and Daniel.
Taylor and Dye. Okay. And then for our C starter, Raja Kruth, we got 3 starts left. What do you think?
Put Raja
Okay.
in there.
Boom. So make sure you go listen to the NASCAR betting preview show. Derek, Phil, they will be on over there. Our starts, Corey Heim, Taylor Gray, Daniel Dye, Raja Karuth. Best of luck to those fellas. I hope all their bets do well. I hope their fantasy game does not do well. And see you guys tomorrow. DFS episode.
All right, here we go. This time for real. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I've got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. Got my first touchdowns out for tonight, for tonight's game up there as well. So check that out. And some arena football stuff coming around the bend. Check out the Back Road tonight with Seth and Elliott. They'll break Kansas down for you as well. A lot of good stuff coming down the pipe. But we love you. We'll be back tomorrow with our DFS episode. Thanks to everybody that hung out with us in the chat. Thanks to Boji, thanks to Jessica, thanks to Laura, thanks to Andrew. Thanks to, all you folks. Andrew, like I said, for hanging out with us. We love you all. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow for DFS. Until then, everyone, let's go racing and let it ride.